Let me know. Just as a program lineup, we will begin the program by no no Guayfi Kulo that no tagagoy man muna na manyay nata za u danya ihit para uta gupti i kustumreta zan ikuturata zan igwinahan itanukta. So we'll have honorable members of our community blow the conch shells as a traditional way of respectfully and graciously calling our ancestors to allow us to be on our sacred cultural grounds in our cultural homeland and to guide us and escort us in this much awaited annual celebration. After that, then we'll begin with the common portions of a program, including remarks and performances celebrating our rich culture and history, unlike anywhere else. Yeah. All right, so with everybody's indulgence, I will now, with delight and pleasure, welcome all of you. Hafaday, Tirowami, Amaga Umogaan, Lesarumamay Ngaligami, and welcome to the 2025 Annual Historic Preservation Month. 44 years to date. Next year will be 45, so Gov, yeah, you have to have a nicer attire for next year. 45. 45. We have 1 year to make your natural fibers and whatnot. And of course, the legislature, members of the legislature, to get our natural fibers and materials for next year's attire. That's a challenge from our children from MHS and FMS and all the schools from Luta, Tinian, and Sepal, and the Northern Islands. All right, so it's 44 years in the making. Lehi lom metepengi mui yeke autoto fela bo, and then also preserve the past and protect the future. Ta tuk I alatsa zanta adahi I mamamayla. Preserve the past and protect the future. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all turn to the four corners of our islands as our honorable members of our community iman pamalauan zan lalahi so magwaifi kulo sa tagagoy manamkota ni man mo na kinihita za epukit zan u geskaihunhit zan u naihit takanita mulawak I lugar ni manggay gitpogo. Hatsa hugwa tulo listo. Hoy! 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 Amagamogan. Tinitihongguan hinitongguan huwa olu na numali. Hamdo ni manatigo naman yan na naman mofo na naman mansangan naman tautomo na. Gumaha! Ni faninanda ni haani dyan puwengi dyan ubapuyad do giniliha dyan sumay pila gitagegan. Kuda dyan mamaylayang gonggan ni manrongan. Segwi-tegwi ni sempo na ni manana. Dan, at dyan masanganan, gininitinitihong ko na ni gumahan ni Sen na rason na sumet ko na na tono sihag. Na sumet sa kutan hihot, na ginin maop, nutan kakonkuahan.
Gumay-gimay na niya to, huna sumena kadino kiyat taro kagua. Hoy manala sukeng ngonggat tirina, may lay. Tililay kita gwini, yan siya gipagod. Hingo na pan mamalay, ngonggat, man matua. Man magalay, man magahaka, man mataka, man manunito, na manakaga. Dan lokwi, magoskas-kas na manati siya. Pan mamala magiginagamu. Hingo, kita gwini. Dan segi, sila magi tiningwi, tinem tumifinaz na ni minaulik. Di para manapati, pananai. Tiningo, pinanagwi. Pwede para umagoti, umasusteni, mapisad ba, pwede kultura. Ifinanagwi ni manantigo era hamzo. Na mismo, intigo itay gwini, dalaman matumagi gwini. Yang gonggat siya, bababay sa Solares, gibinaton miso, gimunagan niya atsan, embirado tati gidiskusyon miso. Kumentus kita gwini, dan ilaksot tuula.
Si Zeus maasi saina ang kudano mindiola dyan inetno ni famalawan dyan ni manlalahi ni gumayfi kulo. Si Zeus maasi. Before we proceed, tazagwa kun respeto dyan saludo bayhu agang nga imanggay siya na man membron man maagosta siya dyan kululo niya hamzo ni members of the community. So with no further ado, I'd like to welcome, of course, our honorable elected officials, beginning with Honorable Governor Arnold Indaleshu Palacios and members of his cabinet. Malazatan Napakpaki. Let's please welcome the governor and his cabinet members who are here. The Honorable Speaker, Edmund Sablan Villagomez, and members of the House of Representatives. Malatana Pagpaki, Congressman Vincent Kamatsu, Feharan Kamatsu, Congressman Rangamar Elias, Congresswoman Danita Kaipat Yangetmay, and of course Congressman Roman Manahoni Benavente, and the rest of your colleagues. Welcome. And also the Honorable Ramon Blas RB Kamatsu. We can have an RB franchise here, so we look forward to that as well. But Honorable Mayor, always active. Welcome. Matana Pakpakis of the Mayor, no? Our Resident Executive for Indigenous Affairs Office, Siluela Ichihara Marciano Tomei. Welcome. And of course, our Secretary of the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs, si Frank Mareham Abo Rabauliman. Right on, si Tankinay, si Malihula ng Kinay. And of course, our Historic Preservation Officer, she's been there at HPO since 19... It's a secret. Only you and I know. Yeah. She's historic. She's an officer anyway. So, welcome our HPO, our SHPO, State Historic Preservation Officer, Miss Murdy Cani. Estamos natin si Secretary Rebalaman. He's the SHPO. And she's the Historic Preservation Officer. Thank you for that. It's the wind. Sorry, it's quite breezy. But yes, the Secretary is the SHPO, State Historic Preservation Officer, and then our State Historic Preservation Director is Ms. Murdy Cani. And of course, last but not least, the most distinguished members of our community, our members. Malata na pagpaki, our members of our community. Can we call our Executive Assistant for Carolinian Affairs Office, Mr. Nogis, to please join us in the front? Welcome si Zoktanu, Mr. Nogis. Leso rumamay ngayon, we. Right on, and everybody else. Malata na pagpaki, all the people from the sides. Lutsan Kaptan Hotza Logo. May we now malatanay ni respeto sa Gwinaiza is of the opening remarks, our very own Shipo and DCCA Secretary, Mr. Francisco M. Rabangliman.
Thank you, John. I'm sure some of you guys are saying, "What, this guy again?" After reeling over the Flame Tree Festival. But be that as it may, welcome. Good morning, Afaday Tiro, Honorable Governor, Speaker of the House, and members of the House of the Legislature. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here. Partners, community members, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2025 Historic Preservation Month Proclamation signing. Today we commemorate yet another year of celebrating our history and its preservation. And I don't believe I need to be up here to talk to you about the philosophical stuff of why history is important. And I'm sure all of you know why history is important. And just to remind you a quote by a former historian and a Pulitzer Prize winner, David McCullough, said, "History is who we are and why we are the way we are." So then that in itself is germane to our identity, I would think. All right. So I don't want to preach to the choir. Instead of preaching to the choir why historic preservation is important, I have a bit of trivia that I'd like to share with you that is important to us, that is related to why we're here this morning. As many of you know, there is an ongoing reunion by Peace Corps volunteers who served here back in the 60s and the 70s. And as many of you know, these folks did a lot of very pivotal tasks and milestones that went into the development of these of our island community. That includes coordinating the first micro Olympics, right? Also establishing the program that became the Northern Marianas College. Well, folks, within our midst, we have a Peace Corps volunteer who actually was successful in securing the first ever National Park Services grant that later was able to fund the activities of the Historic Preservation Office. And this individual is within our midst. And his name is Mr. Dennis Vanderdyke. Please, Dennis, stand up and be recognized. He is essentially the first SHPO of CNY by securing that grant. And also with him, he's accompanied by his wife, Mary, who both, I'm told, were very instrumental in securing the National Endowment for the Arts. So Mary and Dennis, please stand up one more time and be recognized. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your help. So last year I reported on some of the tasks that HBO was doing. Um, some of them were for compliance matters with regards to the activities that EPA was doing, all these paving of the roads, um, even the clearing of the runways in Tinian. These were all compliance issues that HBO had been doing. But last year I had listed a few that I would like to provide an update. I remembered sharing that we had a $6 million grant, HBO grant, that was its purpose was to rehabilitate many of the houses up at Capitol Hill. Last year, I said that we were successful in sending off those lists to the National Registry, and they were since accepted. This year, I'm happy to provide you an update that 18 of those buildings are now undergoing renovation or rehabilitation. And an additional 13 of them are going through the RFP process to get them renovated as well. So HBO has been quite busy in trying to, renovate and rehabilitate those buildings. In addition, I reported last year that we were going to, through discussions with our counterparts in Germany and Spain regarding repatriation of ancient remains that were extracted from here years ago. And I'm happy to report that the ones that were extracted from here and taken to California for further analysis have now been repatriated back thanks to our partners at the Northern Marianas Museum. So that's the ones from California are already repatriated here and interned. But the ones from Germany and Spain, and now we're hearing there are some from Hawaii. We're still working on those, and we're still, in negotiations. And lastly, I reported last year that we were going to convert the bunker at CPA grounds into a repository for storage of ancient remains that are dug up. That is still going through, the procurement process. I know it's such a long process, but it's going to get there at some point. So, yeah, those are the projects that are keeping HBO busy. But before I close, let me just do a shout out to all our partners, including the mayor's office, CPA, the Memorial Park Services. Thank you for being such a good partners, the public school system. And finally, I would like to thank the staff and management of the Historic Preservation Office for coordinating this very successful event. Thank you very much.
Si Zeus Masimelat na napagpakitali sa Secretary of DCCA for the updates and, of course, celebrating our cultural resources and managing them. We'd like to also recognize our partners from the American Memorial Park. Even coconut is being blown away. Miss Brooke Nevitt and Giovanni Mafnas Moses and Oceania Lifoifoy Outdown Songsung from the American Memorial Park. And a historical tidbit, by the way, AMP is not permanently a part of the Department of Interior. Why? Because it's only through an MOU. And so it continues to be ours. And by the stroke of a pen, and our covenant founders at the time, with Ambassador Hayden, F. Hayden Williams, who I personally met numerous times as part of my Truman Scholarship Foundation program, and then up to leading, being proficient with the covenant, and also si Tunben Tsungi, Tunben's Naputi Santos, both actually, you remember the si Nia Chong and si Difunto, the wife, the husband, right in front of their house, in that fenced, I think, pond. It was actually the original part of it was supposed to be a memorial peaceful garden to celebrate peace. So Ambassador Williams, together with Vice Chairman for the Marianas Political Status Commission, walked the grounds there, and you see the remnants of it. And they actually wanted to put a Japanese garden to signify the peace between Japan and the United States. And then it evolved into the entire grounds, stretching from behind the former Hyatt, the future Sheraton, Saipan Resort, all the way to the Outer Cove Marina and adjacent to the Enos Peace Park. And through a administrative order between the Department of Interior at the time, it was Janet McCoy at the time under the United Nations Trusteeship Agreement, and us. That's now Memorial Park. So yes, thank you to our federal partners. And the corpus funding was provided by the Marianas Public Land Trust as part of that administrative agreement at the time. 19. All right, and so now let us welcome and give our love and vinaises and respeto of the Honorable Governor Arnold I. Palacios to welcome all of us and also share his wisdom and wishes for cultural resource management.
I'm not sure whether I can speak about history. John just gave us a rundown on part of our history. But let me say this. Good morning, Honorable Mayor, Speaker Villagomez, honorable members and distinguished members of our legislatures who are present here today. Many are distinguished and honorable members of our community. Mr. Russell, is that you back there? No? Oh, I thought Scott was here. You know, somebody forgot to bring my speech. It is indeed an honor to join you this morning as we celebrate this annual recognition of our histories, to remind us that, as our saying goes, in order to forge our future, we need to continue to look back at our past. How true that is. I used to be in my previous life, I used to be one of those regulatory agency, and HPO was also part of that regulatory agency. And I always wondered, why is HPO? always doing this? Why are they in the regulatory? I thought environmental and all that was present, but you know, as time goes, I begin to realize at that young age how critical our history and our identity is. We're graced today and over the weekend with canoes who sail from Guam, and members of the crew of those canoes come also from parts of Micronesia who we have had very identity with these folks. And let me be clear, historic preservation is really not just about artifacts, and sometimes we get that. That's why we reference it, but it's really our identity. All these things, whether it's artifacts, whether it's our customs, our dances, our songs, our languages, those are part of our identity and part of our history. This Commonwealth has undergone 400-500 years of written history. We're just now going back to look at our history as a people beyond those where our history was written by people from the outside world. It behooves us that we continue to look back and find out really the nuances of our history. We're lucky that physical things like artifacts and buildings are there, but we really need to take a look at our identity, our cultures, our customs, and embed it really in our institutions of learning, in our schools, in our conversations. And that's what this is about today. Really, it's not just about these artifacts that are here on the table. All of us should have a role and consider. I want to recognize departments and agencies and non-governmental organizations who have continued to be at the forefront of these efforts. Whether you're 500 cells, whether you're the museum, whether you're HPO, whether you're Carolinian Affairs, Indigenous Affairs, and all the other agencies and organizations that continue to make sense of our history and continue to perpetuate and continue to have this in our conversations, in our daily conversations. As a grandparent, I had the real pleasure to have had some of my grandkids who live in the States take a vacation in the summertime. And there was a picnic around here somewhere, and one of my grandsons says, "What is that? What is that right there?" I said, "Oh, that's the canoe house." "What's a canoe house?" I stopped. I couldn't explain to him what's a canoe house. So I said, you know, the best thing to do is to just get down and go there. And we walked these grounds. We have so much history. And somebody has to maintain our history, and somebody has to teach, and communicate, and articulate those history. Thank you to Humanities Council also, to all the organizations. But today, Secretary Reboloman, thank you for not writing my speech this morning. Usually it's the agency that's responsible.
He read your speech.
Yeah. But let's celebrate our culture. Let's celebrate our history. It is really the path to our path forward as peoples and as members of this community. Thank you and welcome to the proclamation of historic preservations this morning. Thank you.
Mailan at tanay talo respeto sa winaisays of the Honorable Governor Arnold I. Palacios. I mean, in the islands, anything goes, right? When the aircon is not working, we have the breeze. And by the way, a couple of people behind there, no names mentioned, says, I said I was in Arerica, United States of Arerica, right? Visiting our sons for the last 7 months. And I said, I will never, ever live anywhere else. Because look at this, look at the backdrop, right? $1 billion view. And now we have to be talking about billion, no more million. We have to be $1 billion, right? And so we'll be talking about those resources moving forward. And in fact, Governor and HPO and Secretary, I spoke, I lectured at the college last week on chanting, right? Because it's actually becoming a lost art. And I want to pay homage to Isaina, my uncle. Did you understand what Sainadano Mindiola said when he did the chanting? Anybody understood what he said? I did. And that's because he's mentoring me. He's mentored me to do chanting. And when I do chanting, I go to the oceans, I go to the jungles. And I, over a 1 week period, and just pray and together. So, malata na pagpaki that chanting art by Siyang Kudano, and hopefully he's mentoring a new generation of chanters. Lalay, right? They've been at Tatsogwi Lalay as part of our traditional blessing. And I challenge respectfully our Speaker of the Legislature and the members, and the President of the Senate and the members, and of course our Honorable Governor and all the cabinet members to please start incorporating our traditional blessings and languages in all we think and say or do. Our covenant and our constitution say so, that Chamorro, Carolinian, and English. And so let's do what Guam is now doing as a cultural renaissance, and Hawaii for that matter. Malata na pagpaki our cultural renaissance and incorporating our cultural resource management and making it, living it and practicing it and teaching it at home. And I'll share later because we are living testaments of when we do things at home, it ends at home and everybody has a beautiful home. And now, without no further ado, malata na pagpaki and show our love for the readers of the proclamation. And may I now call upon our honorable students. Honorable in my eyes because their future has so much promise. And despite the competing interests of 21st or 22nd century, they continue to be focused on their education so that they become independent, culturally competent, and resilient members of our island community. This diluta, esta hulukatan islangani izamaug. May I call upon from Marianas High School, Parautaytay Gifino Samoro, Aisha De Leon Guerrero. And then followed by Carolinian, Rafaluash, right? Is it correct to say Rafaluash or Rapahuluash, right? And then lastly, in English, by a student from Hopwood. Miss Aisha, take it away.
Preserva y mopus zampetahi futura. Proclamación más penesaban historia. Así como y penesaban historia conversación zanima posta puri futurata. Happy benini die oportunidad para transformación Hoffen putanti gihistrata. Dan hoffen na poti gifinaposta sinya tapisaba parifutrata. Dan así como ipinasaba ni mocos para futura generación, giza note Marianas. Mapega di fundación agradecimento público, dan que não prendem identificata, dan que nem hali bin anidoso para a comunidade. Dan así como proteção dan pinasaba ni herança culturata, giza siena mai en incluso instituiu uma estrutura justiça horizontal dentro da total na produção educação científica da economia na benefício sia para cidadão e ensino mais. Dan assim como ipinasabang história sumebi como preciso na ferramenta para manejar dinheiro memperfeição Songsun siya pupuksa nandun tata tanu. Zamantena identitin i comunidad manchas en un sistema igualdad linala para man residentes siya. Dan así como todo nga kinumprenden historian y culturan y siya namay importante para marecognizar y tal presiu na contribución na Filipinas genen individual siya na mamandadika para mapisaba herança ni humomahik como tata dan para mansiguro na futuran generação siya ma experiência da magadasi irukun historia dan cultura ni siya namay. Dan assim como isuatu para mas penisabang historia siya namay sa ipasaba e mapos dan putahi futura. Ni hasosuzu cidadão is Commonwealth para marecognizar dan celebrate mas gigineptisia anaisinya hana memegu identitin comunidade. Poksai isinenten inaccepta dan adelanta. I historian sitiu sia dan herança visita na anu i social dan benefician ekonomian penisabin historiaku.
Si Zeus Maasi Aisha de Leon Guerrero from Marianas High School. Malapagos sa taagan si Jorina Salapeo para Utaytay Gifino Carolinian from Marianas High School.
Reliha, Obushal, Rubowul, Faliu, Yeo, Malili, Rangakish, Relo, Memweye Ekitoto. Ayora ngali rel Sibuayu, Meta, Importin ngali Rubowul Falwash. Memeta ka amwal Sibuyaya Sagi, Lom, Meye Ewelemi, Me Amshi ngali Mweye Ekitoto. Reliha, Mewelal Commonwealth tiufaliu ka feng lal Marianas ngali ralil meta tatal ihla afet sangi a metafal tulap hish iyo me ngolut bohosh meraliha lekhilehil kosh melal sienamai wal shulong luhut kayu me kosas be alongal wal faliu me shulul armas ika ayora ngali armasal sinamai reliha luglu ruwo elo we yeo fasal amalwal buhosh ngotolil buhosh me hachil lol sibo metaflo ruwol ko be lol sienamai bo abari ngalir shor kwe re amamau rel awewe me hach ngali hish me mwei ie ketoto be kosh iha hish armasal sienamai me iha kapusal maramiel Galicia namai ahushal urwol faliu me omshi mewe me tepengi me ye eketoto. Awaril arabasal Commonwealth Rabawari by Awawa Fengel Lalmaramiel Sengi Olongal Tapal Mohuthut Ika Awarilo Malwal Buhosh. Ayora me Aweli Luhut ka Hach ngali ekonomia me ie feli ngali official urwol faliu.
Dispensa, but I guess, can you hear me? Can you hear us? Okay, I guess, no, I'm a bolist, so we project loudly, so, yeah. Sorry for the microphone, I mean, the speaker. It's a little bit historic, so please, yeah, we're in the islands. Thank you. We're so nice. Mga tanapagpakitalo si Jorina Salapeo. Piliso tumakrem, Jorina. And last but not the least, for reading in English, man, I need to buy a suspender for my, yeah. Let's welcome and give our love and respect to Ernest De La Cruz to read in English. Ginin Hopwood Junior High School. Sorry, I know that as Hopwood Junior High, not middle school. Right? So Hopwood Junior High School, the best junior high then. You got this.
Hello? Whereas historic preservation is a conversation with our past about our future. It provides us with opportunities to ask what is important in our history and what parts of our past can we preserve for our future. And whereas the preservation of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands past for future generations is set on a foundation of public appreciation and understanding of our identity and a source of pride for community. And whereas protection and preservation of the cultural heritage of the Sinamay includes the sites, buildings, structures, objects, and landscapes, and human remains yield educational, scientific, and economic benefits for citizens of the Sinamay. And whereas historic preservation serves as a valuable tool for managing growth, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintain community character while enhancing overall livability. And whereas a deep understanding of the Sinamay's cultural history is crucial for acknowledging the invaluable contributions made by individuals dedicated to preserving the heritage that molds us as a people and for ensuring that future generations can experience and appreciate the rich history and culture of the CNMI. And whereas the theme for the CNMI Historic Preservation Month is Preserve the Past and Protect the Future, encouraging Commonwealth citizens to recognize and celebrate the month through events that can strengthen community identity, foster a sense of belonging, and promote historic sites and heritage tourism, showcasing the social and economic benefits of historic preservation and
Thank you.
Now therefore I, Arnold Y. Palacios, Governor of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as Historic Preservation Month. I encourage all residents of the Commonwealth to reflect on the vital role history plays in our lives and to honor the many individuals who have dedicated themselves to preserving the stories and the landmarks and history that define us. Let us come together and participate in the events, ceremonies, and observances taking place throughout this month. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hands on this 28th day of April 2025.